Hi, this is Connor here for Avid Visions, and today I'm going to bring you a hopefully weekly new feature called the Photo Fact of the Week. And this is where I'm going to talk about some more scientific aspects of photography. And today I'm specifically going to be talking about f-stops versus t-stops. So hopefully you've heard about f-stops before. If not, I'll just kind of give a brief refresher. An f-stop is the ratio of the diameter of the aperture to the focal length of the lens. And if you've never really thought about it, let's just take a second to think why we might want to represent an f-stop as a ratio. It actually makes a lot of sense. So if you have a wide-angle lens, I think this is the front element of the lens, you're getting in light from a really wide field of view, right? You might see in some lenses, instead of being rated to a focal length, they'll be rated to a field of view. Specifically, a lot of the telephotos get rated that way. So we're getting all of this light to come into this lens, and it's all going to get bent from this lens right onto your image sensor, and you're going to pick up a lot of light. But if we are, say, on, let's just say it's a super telephoto or something really long, and pardon me, I tried this video earlier actually drawing out lenses and it was a disaster. So say we have a telephoto lens, we're only going to get like this much light, right? Because we're not looking at this whole wide picture. We're not looking at these bushes over here. We don't care about this tree. We're using a telephoto. We just want to take a picture of this horse that's way up here, right? We don't care about the other stuff. So we have less light coming in. You saw over in this lens, we have all of this light coming in. We're getting in the entire scene, bending all of the light onto the sensor. But for this super telephoto lens, we're only getting the light from up by the horse, and then that's all going to the sensor. So it makes sense that we're doing a ratio of the focal length, which determines how much light we're actually getting into the picture, by the opening of the lens, because if the lens opening is only like that wide for the aperture, you see like some of this light on the side gets blocked off, doesn't actually make it. Here we have less blocked off, but it's actually wider. So by making it a ratio, we actually make sure that we have comparable amounts of light, actual energy, light, electromagnetic waves hitting your camera sensor for any given f-stop to keep our exposures consistent from one lens to another lens. So that means I know that even if I'm using the longest telephoto or the widest ultrawide, a given f-stop is the same for any lens I use. But is that really true? Some of you might have noticed that if you have a 50mm f1.4 and say 50mm f1.2, and you put the 50mm f1.2 on your camera and take a picture at f1.2, and then you put the 50mm f1.4 on your camera and put it at f1.4, and you take the pictures with all the other settings equal, the 50mm f1.2 might not be a full third of a stop more exposed, even though by the f-stop it should. That's just because the f-stop is a geometric ideal. That is to say, it is if the world is perfect and the lens from your glass can transmit 100% of the light at just the right angle to make it perfectly onto the image sensor, every single time we'll get our f-stop amount of light. What a t-stop is it's just kind of a more experimentally determined realistic version. So we have our same lens here, got our sensor back here. The t-stop just takes into account that, oh, light's coming into the lens, and, well, Nikon put some nice nanocrystal coating on the lens for us to reduce flares and ghosting, to improve sharpness and image quality. So some of the light's going to make it through, but it's going to be kind of weaker, right? We've lost some of the light. Some of it gets bounced back by this coating. Some of it just kind of gets absorbed into the coating in the lens. So we still have a lot of light coming through, but it's just not quite as much. This is what the t-stop measures, or I'm sorry, this should be a dash, whatever, you know what I mean. So that's what a t-stop is. Most lenses only transmit about 60% to 90% of the light that gets into them. And we know that one stop difference is a 100 or a 50% decrease in light, right? So having the light changes by one stop. So from that we see right away that most lenses actually lose, this is about 1/3 of a stop, call it, to 2/3 or even a little bit more from their f-stop value, and that's just kind of normal. And that's why a lot of expensive cinema lenses will actually be rated to a t-stop instead of an f-stop, because that way you know that when you go from lens A over here on your camera, swap out for lens B over here on your camera, without changing any of the settings and keeping it at the same f-stop or t-stop, you know that your picture is going to be exposed exactly 100% the same. And for photographers, this doesn't really matter because we can just change the exposure a little bit, whatever, we're more low-key. But for really high-grade professionals, or for cinema photographers especially, where they're changing lenses quickly, time is money, and the shots need to be perfectly consistent from, say, one scene in a movie to another, you need to use a t-stop to make sure that you're getting the exact same amount of light reaching your sensor for every single stop, right, and every single shot, and you're perfectly consistent. So don't feel bad that you spent a lot of money getting an f1.4 lens when really you're only using an idealized f1.8 because you're losing 2/3 of a stop of light to all this nice chemical coating that actually improves the image quality. So I hope you've learned something today. Leave a comment if there's anything else you'd like me to review about this topic, and maybe requests for topics for me to review in the future. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. See ya.